Well, you know what they used to say about California? It's filled with fruits and nuts.
And there's one right there.
And I don't know if that's actually politically appropriate anymore to like, it's like, you know, there's a lot of terms that my father used to say that I don't think I can say anymore.
I don't think you can say anything anymore, John, because somebody somewhere is going to find it inappropriate or offensive somehow. You can say, hey, it's a beautiful day out, and somebody's going to get offended by that today.
Yeah, well, I'm allergic to nuts. I'm offended.
You know, I honestly, if we just talk about mental health for a second, because I think it's a topic that I think that we don't talk enough about. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a wide spectrum of balance in our minds, in the people that we know, and coming from a family that has a history of mental illness. My mom was manic depressive. My brothers and sisters are manic depressive. One is schizophrenic, and was homeless. I think that we all have to have empathy for people that are different than us, regardless of if it's mental health, if it's their way of being, etc. And I think that especially in this age of sort of deep division in our country, I think that we really have to come from a place of empathy and understanding of each other in order to unite us all. And I think that something that we should be able to all get around is the fact that human beings are not perfect, that we're all different, and especially the mental state. And sometimes different people have different mental states at different times, depending on what's going on in their lives. And we don't know that. But for the grace of God, there go we. And so, not to like start this whole thing where I was a downer, you know, but ultimately it's about understanding, right? And I think if we come from a place of a desire to understand each other, to put ourselves in each other's shoes, not from a place of what can I get from you, but what can I give to you? Mm-hmm. I think that the world would be a better place, right? And in this podcast, I think, revolves around serving others, right? Helping other people grow, other businesses grow. That's what Seth does on a daily basis. He gives away his knowledge in order to help businesses succeed more effectively. And any business person listening to this today, I think that if you come from a place of what can I do today to help this person in front of me grow, that your business is going to blossom. And so I think that I started out by stepping on some political incorrectness. And I wanted to just address the fact that I think that today more than ever, that we need to come from a place of understanding and empathy and a desire to serve, because I think that service is the new sales. So there it is. Hey, by the way, Jack, I love your Be Nimble thing. Thank you for the nod.
Hey, by the way, everybody, real quick, guess what?
We're live.
We are live with Zoom In with Seth David and friends. It's just past 8 o'clock in the morning. We're flexing our brain muscles.
Pump it up.
And this is symbolic of that, right? We're flexing our muscles, but most importantly, today we're flexing our brain muscles. We're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to inspire, we're going to be inspired, and especially when we have an amazing guest like we have today with Jon Ferrara. By the way, John, I love the mustache.
Ah, nice. You know, it's new.
It's new. I was going to say it's new. I recognize it.
So actually, I had this mustache in high school, and I also had.
How'd you have it then?
Wait, hold on, John. I must ask you a question.
Early in the day for that, Seth.
Oh, come on.
So glad you're the nut in our California, buddy, Seth.
And when I had this mustache, I also had hair down.
I've seen photos.
Down to there.
I can attest to that.
And I put this mustache on, I think, last season during the Dodgers run for the World Series. And I kept it on for the Rams run for the Super Bowl. And you know what? I was holding out.
So it's bad luck?
You can mute him. I think you have the power.
So I'm half Sicilian, half Irish, and I basically did my research and went to Ireland 2 summers ago. Last summer, I went to Sicily to visit my cousins, where my father was born. And so I thought that this was appropriate, back in the old country, because it makes me look more like a paisano.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm just letting a few people in. We are
It's
live.
a party.
What?
I feel like I'm on that show. What was it?
The Brady Bunch.
Square? No, the Squares. Oh, that
Hollywood
one too.
Squares.
Hollywood Squares. Like. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep, I love it. I think we started off actually on a really good note, especially given the context of today's, subject, which is smart contacts, right? We're talking about, and by the way, I may have to leave abruptly for 5 minutes because I have a plumber coming. We had a little bit of a plumbing emergency last night, and I have somebody coming to do some work this morning. So,
You're lucky you got somebody in so quick.
Well,
Seth,
I have
there's no
a guy,
such thing as a plumbing emergency.
Well, I know a guy, right?
No guy.
I know a guy, and I called him, and no, and I really do. This guy, actually, I've known for years. He's like I knew him from a networking group. Speaking of smart contacts, I'd met him at a networking group, had him do a major plumbing job on my home 5 years ago. I had to look it up last night because I was looking up his information. I was like, holy cow, I can't believe it's been 5 years. But he came right over as a favor, didn't even charge me, and we have to do some major plumbing work underneath the house this morning. But I'm glad I had the relationship I had, because he was willing to come over and not charge me an arm and a leg for the emergency call, and basically he said, I just couldn't use the kitchen sink last night, and still this morning until they fixed the issue. So,
I think that what you just said is something that's an interesting topic. Is there's some things that sort of disappear and become ubiquitous where we just expect them to work, like turning on the faucet.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about the boilers, the recirculation pipes, all that shit in the basement or wherever it happens to be until it doesn't work. And I think that's true with our health. I think that's true with today, the internet. Didn't used to be. I remember 300 baud modems.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God. And the word baud, I forgot about that word.
And if you think about it, technology, when it's new, it's all like we talk about it, right? Like when the internet first came out, it was eToys and eye contact, and it was all stuff we talked about. But then when it became ubiquitous, always on, it disappeared. That's what happens with technology, is when it's new, it's like, oh my God. And then when it becomes ubiquitous and it's accepted, it disappears. Social 10 years ago, everything was social CRM and social selling and social marketing and social this and that. And I think that social has gotten to be ubiquitous, where it's now beginning to disappear. And we're getting back to basic sales and marketing. We're not necessarily talking about social, because social is just another channel where we have conversations. And I think that your thing, bringing up the plumbing thing, just reminds me.
I'll be right back. He's here. I'll be right back.
There he is. Okay. So with the leader gone, who's going to lead us?
Well, you are, John.
You are.
I am? Okay.
You are.
Congratulations.
All right.
You now wear the crown.
All right. I am the king. So I live in a household. I've got 2 boys. I've got a daughter and my wife. And when my boys lived in the house, it was 3 against 2. So now both of my boys are in college, so I'm totally outnumbered. So I liked it when I actually get to be the king, but in my own household, I'm not the king. I'm more of the servant. And I think that I'm fine with that, because I think that in a good relationship, you're not always driving, right? That you need to pick somebody strong as a partner to do what you do. Whether you're actually a company that you don't have a partner and you basically have team members, they're your partners. And I think that concept of partnering is a good concept of relationships and growing your business. So I think that one of the things that really pains me as I walk down my main street of my city I live in Santa Monica, and there's a little street called Montana Avenue that has all these shops. And you've been down these shops before, wherever you live, might be Ventura Boulevard, might be Largemont Boulevard, wherever you happen to live. And you look in these shops, and these are people that are sitting in these shops that they pay thousands of dollars a month for rent, and they're on their computer or they're behind a counter and they're waiting for people to come in. And I think that that's a metaphor for businesses today that are out there sort of struggling. How do I get seen and heard by my customers? How can I be top of mind so when they need my products and services, not only do they pick up the phone, where's my phone? Not only do they pick up the phone and call me, but they drag their friends with them. How do you do that today in our over-connected, over-communicated world? Because ultimately, Mae West said, out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey, right? And I think that's one of the things that we all struggle with. And in fact, I'm going to even take it a step further, beyond business. I think that human beings are starving for attention. I think that's why we all walk down the street and drive staring at that little tiny screen, praying that there's more red lights that appear as we feed it more pictures and posts to basically get people to see and hear us, because I think that human beings are desperate to be seen, heard, wanted, and loved. And if you can tap into that as a business person, as a human being, that you could, I think, build connections and relationships that can make magic in the world. What do you guys think?
The experience. There's an experience in everything, right? So it used to be called this silly little thing called customer service.
Mm.
There's also, John, do you know Jay Bear, right?
Sure, I know Jay.
So Jay wrote a whole book called Talk Triggers that I think really
Yeah.
speaks to what you were just referring to when you talk about how do you get people kind of raving about you and taking you with them everywhere. It's through what Jay calls talk triggers. It's doing things, going back to the customer service comment like Matthew just mentioned, that wow people to the point where they can't help but talk about you to other people because you've blown them away with what you've done for them, because you've gone so far above and beyond, or you've done something so far off the beaten path that wasn't necessarily related even to what you do for a living, but it was something that you went out of your way to do to make somebody's experience better or different or memorable, right? And that's what I think it comes down to. I read a book years ago where the author described, and he used the analogy of parenting. And he broke it down very simply. He said, good parents create good memories for their kids, and bad parents create bad memories for their kids. And I think the same applies with customer service, right? A good business person creates good memories for their customers, and a bad business person creates bad ones, right?
Yeah.
And I think especially plays in when you're in a situation that could potentially go sideways. For example, a customer comes in because they're upset and they're complaining, and how you handle that makes all the difference between whether you wind up with a good memory or a bad memory that they walk away from the experience with. And I think that summarizes the core.
And a lot of that has to do with the basics, which is listening, logging, following up, right? And so today, I think that the biggest problems that we all face as a business team is that our contacts are in silos in your business. So today, every business has email, and they have to choose G Suite or Office 365 for a cloud-based productivity platform. So let's see a show of hands. If you're a business person, you either have, well, you could have Gmail and iCloud, but those are really more personal things. As your business email, calendar, and contacts, let's see a show of hands. How many people use G Suite? Okay. How many people use Office 365? Okay.
How many people want to use email?
Well, we won't even get to that because basically email is the de facto form of communication in business today, and you can't get away from that. And so today, your business has either Office 365 or G Suite if you're doing business today and you want to share cloud productivity systems. And if you think about it, that's like the Novell of yesterday. So in the old days, if you had PCs, you want to tie them together, you bought Novell and tied them together, and that was your network. Today, there is no server in the closet anymore. You basically tie your PCs together with Office 365 or G Suite, and it's all in the cloud. The problem with that platform is that the contacts that each team member has is a separate database for every team member, and the email and the calendar aren't linked to the contacts. So that means if you go to a contact record, which you never do go to contacts in Office or G Suite for anything other than to look at the phone number, you don't have the insights and the contacts. Insights is who are they and what are their business about. You have to Google them for that. Contacts is the history of interaction that you and the team have had. and what's pending and who's going to do it. And the problem with that is that when you call American Express, they know who you are. They know the history of interactions that you and the team have had with them on email, calendar, and social, and they have the ability to follow up and follow through. And the fact that they follow up and follow through is the reason why you do business with anybody. And I think that that's the basics of business, is having a common system of record of relationships for the whole company, not just for salespeople. And so today, if you go to most businesses, they have Gmail or G Suite or Office, and then they have some type of CRM, marketing, and accounting, and maybe customer service. So maybe the accounting is QuickBooks, maybe the marketing is MailChimp, and then maybe the CRM is Salesforce or some other thing, and maybe the customer service is, I don't know, Zendesk. Every single one of those platforms has a separate contact database in each platform, and every team member has a separate contact database. So if we're talking about that customer experience is the new key thing that you got to deliver on for your customers, which, Jack, be nimble. I absolutely agree with you on that, because I believe that if you could align the promises you make to the experience that you deliver, that you could build a gold mine. The problem is it's hard to do today in our disconnected systems. And that's why I got back in the business, to build a platform that auto-magically unifies your separate contacts in Office 365 or G Suite into a team relationship manager, enrich it with people and company data, synchronize email, calendar interactions, and then unify the contacts from any SaaS business app you use, so that we automatically build a record, and then you can go back into your email or your QuickBooks or your MailChimp or your Zendesk and have that same record that everybody gets to use. And I think without a basic platform like that, it's hard to deliver enchantment in the customer experience. What do you guys think?
I agree. And John, while you were talking, I don't know if you noticed, I shared my screen and pulled you up as my contact in Nimble Contacts to kind of show people what you were talking about, where everything's unified. And actually, as I pulled you up, it looked like I actually had 3 instances of you. So I merged them while you were talking. And now I have, once again, a unified contact database with you that has everything. And I love this new contact interface. It's one of the reasons I reached out to you and asked you to come back, because after I saw this, I was like, there's updates to Nimble. We need to show people what's going on here.
Seth, do you mind if I share my screen? Because I have it set up in a way
Sure.
that where is my thing?
And while you're looking for that, I just want to make a comment that, going back to what we were talking about how everything used to be social selling and things are kind of coming full circle. One of the things that I notice that it screams out, go to any restaurant now and look around. If it's early enough in the evening and the crowd is a little younger, all you see are people sitting at a table together and paying no attention to one another because they're all in their mobile devices. Right.
Well, I think that goes to the fact that we're all starving. We really are. I think that the more digital we get, the more disconnected we get. And I think that the more digital we get, the more human we need to be.
Which is so ironic, right? The point is supposed to be to bring us together, and yet it's driving us further and further apart somehow. And so my rule when I'm at a restaurant having dinner with friends is my phone stays in my damn pocket. Unless we're taking it out to take a selfie and share that. And then it goes right back in so that we can focus on one another, which is why we're there. Otherwise, we might as well just go home and get on Zoom.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, I think it all sort of starts with this, that today we have, there's 225 million global businesses. Less than 1% use any CRM. Most people's CRM is their inbox or spreadsheets. And I think that's really, it's a crime. The fact that 1% of people use a CRM, and I'll tell you why, because CRM systems aren't designed for you for engagement. They're designed for management, for reporting. And you work for the CRM because you have to Google somebody before you meet with them. And then you're supposed to go log that in the CRM. And then you try to engage with them wherever you can in social. And then you go back to the CRM and log that. But the reality is that we really kind of all live in email. And now more and more, whatever business apps that we happen to be using, here is Business Central. I'm just showing an accounting program. And so I think that your CRM should work for you by building itself. from all the contacts that you have in your business, and they're siloed in your email and your calendar and your social and whatever business apps you're using, and then work back where you work. So this is an example of a Nimble contact record. It basically gets built automatically, and I'm just going to show you an example of that. Let me just turn my notifications off because it's a little noisy here. Let me just go ahead and Bing. Okay. Here's an example of notifications. So basically, let's go and find somebody that I don't know. Notifications, blah, blah. Lori Ball. Okay, Lorraine. There we go. So if I wanted to know who Lorraine was, I just hover on her name, and Nimble will automatically build a record for her. And so that record was built in literally seconds. I didn't have to lift a finger. I didn't have to Google her. I know who she is, where she's from, where she went to school, what she's influential in. And if I want to put her in the database, it's just like that. So basically, I've just created a record of an engagement where you want to, so I tell people, if you want to sell fishing poles, you need to teach people to fish. And so what I do on a daily basis is I share content to inspire and educate other people about how they might become better, smarter, faster at the areas of promise of my product and services. And so I drip knowledge in order for people to then engage with me. And then I take that engagement and I reel them in and I put them into my database to then begin to nurture and engage with them. And so this is where that person just went. And now I don't have to Google people, I Nimble them. And when I put somebody in Nimble, they automatically synchronize every interaction that my team and I have on email, calendar, and social. And I have all the background information that I need on that person. I can do all the things I need to do, like login notes and scheduling tasks and whatever. But the most important thing is it then works back where I work. So if I open up an email, I have the complete context and insights that I need of the history of our interactions, of what that person is saying about the team and myself on social, what that person is saying to the world, and I can interact with all that stuff. But the most important thing is when I open up an email, typically there's something I need to do. And I have to go back to the CRM to do it. But now with Nimble, because it automatically works for me by building itself and then works with me everywhere I work, I can log that note or follow up. And maybe rather than replying to this email, I know he won't see it. I may decide to send him a Facebook message or a Twitter message or whatever I decide to do. Or I may delegate a task to a team member to go ahead and do something for that person. But the reality is that I think your CRM should work for you by building itself and then work with you wherever you're working so that no matter where you are, you have the context and insights that you need in order to engage more effectively. Because I think the biggest cause of failure of business is lack of follow-up and follow-through. And we just don't do it because it's just too hard, because we have to go to our contact tools or our CRMs to do it instead of them working for us by building themselves and then working with us wherever we work. And I'm going to stop there because I know I said a lot.
Jon, it's Tiffany. Can I ask a question? Does Nimble also track like DMs, like through Twitter or through Facebook?
Yes.
So with a team environment, when you have, so if I have a team member who attaches their social as well so that we can track everything with clients, they would have to then have a different social for their business with me versus their personal.
No, because I think that people carry their brands with them. And I think that you want to actually hire people with great brands. Your network and your brand are your net worth. And so I'll give you an example. So let's just look up one of my team members, Michaela. Here's Michaela. And so Michaela uses her Twitter handle, which is her personal handle, with interactions at Nimble. Because ultimately your job as a business owner or as a manager is to grow your team. And so Michaela's brand has been grown by her working at Nimble. And one day, if she does leave Nimble, she'll take that brand with her. And God bless her for her growing in that time. And so I think that having a separate brand makes it unauthentic, because then it's just this sort of fake brand that's temporarily there while they're at your company. And I think that in order to humanize your company and in order to build your company brand, you need to help your team members build their brand, which then builds the company brand and humanizes that. And I'll give you an example of that. So Michaela shares content on a daily basis about how people might become better, smarter, faster at social sales and marketing. And that helps build her brand, but also helps build the Nimble brand. So I don't necessarily agree that you want your team members to have a separate identity from their actual identity in their engagement on behalf of your company.
And I appreciate what you said, and I totally agree with the branding piece of it. What my question was, is that if Nimble is grabbing DMs that Michaela is having with people, is that pulling information that Michaela wouldn't necessarily want Nimble brand to know? Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. So she has control over that. So she can control what messages and what contacts go into Nimble, and what's public and private.
Right. So then if she decides that, like a contact, say for myself, if Michaela decides that I should be added to Nimble, then any conversation that she and I have through a DM would be tracked in Nimble, so that Nimble would be able to have this insight?
Only if she allows it, and she could allow it so that her Nimble, your record's private and that conversation's private, or it's public and it's public, or it's not in there at all. And so she has control granularly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so let's pretend that a business already has Salesforce, and let's pretend that they already have Office 365. Does Nimble still fit for that business? And my answer is yes, because that business still has solid contacts across sales, marketing, customer service, and accounting. And what Nimble does is it will automatically build records for people and companies for that team, and then allow you to use that record back inside of your email. But then basically it'll bridge that contact into Salesforce. And if that contact isn't already in your Office 365 or G Suite, if you Nimble that contact, Nimble will automatically build a record. I'm going to show you a little magic here. So Ken Krogh is just a string. It's just a name. So there's no unique identifier. So if I go and I Nimble a unique identifier, because basically, let's find somebody that I don't know again. So Twitter handles are a unique identifier. And this guy doesn't look like a real person. Let's find somebody I don't know. Come on. Merlin Earl. Okay. So basically, Merlin Earl is a unique identifier, and because it's a unique identifier, Nimble can automatically build a record for Merlin. But how do you move the bar, the Zoom bar? Do you guys know how to move?
If you hover over the yellow area on it, you can drag it.
The yellow area. Oh, there we go. Okay, thanks. So Ken Krogh is just a string. So Nimble then goes and uses its engine to look up identities. Once I map an actual identity, a Twitter handle, it automatically maps the rest of it. Do you see how that works? And then not only does it automatically build the record, but if I want his email and phone number, if I give Nimble first name, last name, company, domain name, Nimble will automatically give me their email, their phone number, and their address. So I basically just built a record for this person in literally seconds, and I didn't have to lift a finger. And that record, once it goes into Salesforce, can automatically go into any of the other apps that Nimble bidirectionally synchronizes with. And so Nimble can either be your CRM and team relationship manager, or work with your existing contact platforms and sales and marketing tools to provide a tool that enables your salespeople to prospect smarter anywhere as they work. Because you could be reading an article in the LA Business Journal and you want to know who this guy Satish is. And so basically you could automatically build a record for Satish like this in literally seconds, and basically be able to put them in the database and begin to engage with them in a way that's appropriate. What do you guys think?
I'm actually setting up my Nimble account right now, and so far it's pretty cool.
Thank you. So I'll tell you some secrets about how we built GoldMine. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of GoldMine, but GoldMine was my previous company. So GoldMine was a company that existed before Outlook or Salesforce existed. And that's me when I was younger and more hair and a little less round face. We started that company in Canoga Park on $5,000, never took a dime of venture, and grew it to $100 million a year in revenue by identifying the influencer of my prospect. And back in the early days of GoldMine, it was Novell resellers, because there was no Microsoft NT server. So Novell resellers were the trusted advisor, the influencer of SMB customers. And as we grew, Microsoft built NT server, SQL server, and Exchange server, and they basically ate Novell, and they became the main highway for businesses to run on. And we built GoldMine Enterprise, which required NT server, SQL server, and Exchange server to run, giving our customers the ability to scale, but also helping to become the #1 ISV at Microsoft, where Microsoft then pushed us worldwide through all their customers. And interestingly enough, when we started with G Suite, because there was no Office 365. So G Suite was Novell. Then Microsoft came out with Office 365, and they basically now have eaten G Suite. There's 185 million Office 365 customers. There's 7 million G Suite customers worldwide. And Microsoft, we basically become the simple serum for Office and the gateway to Microsoft's crown jewels, which is Power BI, Flow, Power Apps, Azure, and Dynamics. And so we replicated history where we are now a strategic partner with Microsoft. They're our reseller. They globally resell us and push us into their distributors worldwide. And we've signed up 30 of the top 50 distributors and over 1,000 resellers, and we're part of the Microsoft catalog. And I'm going to be announcing something in probably 30 days that talks a little bit more deeper about the Microsoft relationship. But it's interesting that if you want to grow a business, you should identify the key influencer of your prospect, not just the prospects and customers themselves, but their influencer, and build relationships with them. And that's how you scale a business. And I think, Seth, you and I are an example of that. You are the trusted advisor of so many businesses, and we built a mutually beneficial pay it forward relationship where I've become a mentor and a friend to you, and you become a friend and advisor to me. And in fact, you actually advised my brother on taxes and business stuff historically. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what life's about, is building key, authentic, relevant, mutually beneficial relationships that help you to scale your business. And so one of the things I want to share with y'all who are listening is I think everybody listening to this today needs a personal CRM. That your network and your brand and your net worth, and that you don't really do a good job with them, managing them in Gmail or iCloud or Office 365. And what Nimble does is Nimble essentially will allow you to basically manage relationships more effectively anywhere as you're working, and then be able to take those relationships with you wherever you go. And that means you could bring your network to work with you and actually use Nimble in the tools your company is having you use. And that actually makes you better, but also you can take that network with you in any job you go to. So if you're listening to this today, I think you need your own personal CRM. And I think that that Nimble is a good option for you to use on a daily basis, because like I said, your network and your brand are your net worth. And you need to be identifying people that matter, reaching out and building relevant, authentic relationships, paying them forward and nurturing them and staying top of mind.
You know what I do, John? I actually use Nimble for both personal and business, and I use tags. So anybody who I consider a personal contact, like the plumbing company, I tag them personal contacts.
Yep.
And that's how I do it. And it makes it very simple. The plumber that was here who just left, I have them in Nimble. I was able to look them up in 2 seconds in Nimble.
Yeah. I actually do the same thing. I have my, and the reality is that personal and business is really sort of mixed, right?
Well, yeah.
And I think that when social first started, people thought, well, no, my LinkedIn contacts are my business contacts and my Facebook contacts are my personal contacts. and the two should meet. And I think that people buy from people they like, know, and trust. And I think that you need to, for key relationships that matter to you, they might start in a soft place. Like, here's an example of a soft place. This gal, Tiffany Bova, was talking about CRM, and this guy basically started talking about me and my team and my brand. And I was able to take this relationship from a soft connection in Twitter to a LinkedIn conversation where I learned that his daughter goes to my school and he lives in my town. So I basically got together with him for breakfast. And now I've basically, then that relationship went from Twitter to LinkedIn to a calendar appointment. And now we're sort of fast friends in Facebook and Instagram. And I think that that's sort of a natural progression of relationships. And if you think about a chair has 4 legs, 3 legs at least. Some have more, 4. And so LinkedIn's just like one leg of a relationship. And I think that people connect beyond the business lobby. They connect on what I call the 5 F's of life: family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. And what that means is that you need to build a deeper connection with people that matter and share commonalities to develop intimacy and trust. When I taught people how to sell, I said, when you go in somebody's office, look at their walls, look at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect, and figure out what you share in common, share that to break the ice, and then get them to open up to you about their business issues, which as a professional, you can then solve. And today you have the ability to do that in social. But I think it's just too hard to Google somebody before a meeting and try to gather all that stuff. And that's why we built Nimble.
So, John, I'm curious, given the context of what you just laid out, when you look at what I have behind me, these characters, what do you make of this? How would you use this information to sell me your pen?
Yes, let me, my pen. Are we talking about
Sell me this
vaping?
pen, John.
Are we talking about vaping now?
No, remember the Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes, I know. I was teasing you. I know about the pen, but I also know about the other pen. So essentially what I see there is that you are connected to superheroes, that you also have a softer side to you. And that you like comics, and I can't see the books because I'm not that close, but if I was actually there, I'd be able to see the topics, and I'd probably identify a book that I had read or that I want to read. And I'd ask you about that book, and I'd say, wow, that I wanted to read that book, and tell me what did you learn from that book? Or I'd say, hey, I read that book as well, and this is what I got out of it. What did you think about it? And we basically start talking about some area of commonality of a shared experience. And this is how life has always worked. When you pick up the phone and you have a conversation with somebody, you don't start out with, did you sign my contract? You say, hey, good morning, good afternoon, how's the weather? How about them Dodgers? Or, whatever you say, right? And then you sort of get down to business. And so this is just a normal way of human beings interacting. And I think that in some ways we forgot about some of the human aspects of business. And I'm going to tell you a story of why. So 100 years ago, we all lived in a small town, and our brand was built on the promises we make and the experience that we delivered. But what happened is mass manufacturing drew people from the small towns into the cities for those jobs. And as mass manufacturing scaled, we had so much product that we had to hire full abreast salespeople to go door to door to sell the stuff. So all of a sudden we changed from people walking into the store to you going pounding on people's door to sell them stuff. And then that wasn't enough to sell the stuff. So Mad Men Marketing came on the thing, and we started basically telling people how great our products and services were and expect them to line up like lemmings in front of our salespeople who can bag them and tag them and get the order. And I think that we've come full circle from that enterprise Oracle bag them and tag them thing to social has basically brought us back to a small village. It's increasing the expectation and transparency that we have of each other and the companies we do business with. And I think we're going through a renaissance in relationships where relationships matter again and the experience matters again. And that for you to be successful in business today, that you need to focus on delivering optimal customer experience and building relationships where people remember you. They see you as a trusted advisor. And when they need your products and services, or their friends do, they pick up the phone, they call you, and they drag their friends with them.
All right, we've got a lot of comments, by the way, in the Facebook feeds. Looks like we may have converted somebody from Pipedrive to Nimble.
Well, I'm going to say something about that. Whatever you're using today, it doesn't matter, because Nimble will bidirectionally synchronize with literally hundreds of SaaS business apps. So you could actually go into Nimble and synchronize whatever CRM you're using today, and basically bring your contacts into Nimble, and you can continue to use whatever you use while you transition to Nimble, because Nimble will basically work with literally any CRM. And
Yep.
so if you are using another CRM like Pipedrive or HubSpot or Salesforce or even Dynamics, you can basically incorporate Nimble into the flow of those things and either continue to use it or transition from it easily.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
ask
Carolyn.
a question? So you've moved more towards with Office 365. Have you moved away from G Suites, or is, 'cause I'm looking at the website and it's like Office 365.
Yes. So if you go to Nimble's website, it essentially says that Nimble's for Office 365 and G Suite. But we have a specific landing page for Office 365 because we have specific functions that we built for Office, including integration with Teams and other integrations that we've done. So we support any email environment, including Office 365, G Suite, iCloud, whatever. And so here you see Nimble working inside of my G Suite. Here you see Nimble working inside of my Office 365. And so we don't care what email you use, Nimble will support it.
And I want to just, if I can share my screen real quick, John, I want to show people something just to really drive home the context of what you're showing people here with the Nimble widget. And I want to do it in a context that's going to be very familiar to everyone. Let me show you all something here.
By the way, Seth, I love your camera. It's which one do you use? Because it's so clear. Is that just your notebook one, or you have like
it's a slick, it's a Logitech cam that comes with a base and a stand, and I've got a remote for it so I can swivel the camera around and change it.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't spare any expense on this one. Not that it was really that expensive. It was a couple $100 for a webcam.
Yeah.
I guess that's a lot. But no, it's really, really cool. And it has a speaker in the base, so I can actually have, it's really a webcam that's meant for conference calls. It's like
Nicely done.
if you search Amazon for LG conference call webcam, you'll find this one. The camera's a Carl Zeiss camera. Like, it's really just top quality. So
Nice.
I'm glad you noticed. So if I go into here, and let me just go into my customers in QuickBooks Online, and let me just, I'm going to create a new customer named Matthew Fulton, and I'll allow them to know my location here at Intuit. So let's say I'm adding Matthew Fulton as a customer, and I'm going to add Matthew's email in here, right? Matthew, what is it? Matthew at parkwaymail.com?
M. Fulton.
M. Fulton.
Fulton at parkwaymail.com.
Parkwaymail. Oops.
And for everybody out there watching this video, if you're looking for a good accountant, feel free to give us an email.
And also, don't forget to check out VendorSync.
And email him. He loves email.
Yes. Email him every hour.
What city in?
Ventura, California.
Oh, nice.
Right up the way from you.
All right.
Nice.
So here's what I want to show you that I want to make sure it's clear, because you may not have, sort of connected these dots specifically. John's been showing you the widget that works with Chrome. Does it work with other browsers too? I imagine it must.
Safari, Firefox, and Edge.
Yeah. So if I'm in Matthew's contact profile here, and I click on the Nimble widget, first it brings up Intuit because that's whose website I'm on. I can hover over Matthew Fulton or highlight him, and notice how it instantly finds him. Now, on the off chance that it didn't already know who he was because he wasn't already in my contacts, the other thing I could do is actually go into his contact profile here and move my mouse over his, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Move my mouse over his email, and it will certainly find him. And as you can see, so people often say, oh, I want a CRM that integrates with QuickBooks. Well, here you have it, right? Because in a click or in a hover, I can pull up all Matthew's contact information if I don't have his profile completely filled out in QBO. And by the way, I have PySync configured, which integrates beautifully with Nimble, so that normally if this was my real QuickBooks Online company, as soon as I add somebody to QuickBooks Online, PySync makes sure they're also in Nimble and vice versa, right?
And PySync is built into Nimble, and it's free for your first 2,000 contacts.
Right. So, and then what I love about this is because I personally don't love working in a small little screen like this. So usually from here, I'll just click on his name and it takes me right into his whole contact profile in Nimble. I just like space. So this way I'm nice and spread out, and I have him here and I have his customer information here. And so this is, to me, almost better than trying to have a CRM that claims to integrate with QBO and does sort of half a job of it. Right? This way I have a CRM that does CRM really well, and I have QBO that does accounting really well, and I'm not trying to, mix in two things that don't necessarily fit that well together. I've seen the CRMs that claim to integrate with QBO, and the term unsightly comes to mind, and that might bring up some familiar. Anyway, so like I always say, the right tool for the right job. Nimble is my CRM, absolutely, all the way around, hands down. And I love how easy it makes it to work with contacts. Like John said, I can take Nimble anywhere with me that I'm going on the web. In fact, less and less often am I going into Google Contacts on my mobile to pull up somebody's number and call them. I'm actually going into the Nimble app and finding them because I know that I've got their contact information all there.
And Seth, first off, thank you so much for your kind words about our application. Mm-hmm. I actually started Nimble because I believe that it's our job on this planet to help grow other people. And I saw a need in the market for a what I call relationship manager. And so I decided to get back in the market and build my vision. But ultimately, it's really about helping to grow other people. And this is my way to grow people at scale. And towards that, I would like to offer all of your people in these beautiful boxes their own copy of Nimble. So Linda, Caroline, Matthew, Tiffany, Shannon, Peter, Greg, Alexa, Dennis. If you're not already using Nimble, I'd love to gift you Nimble. I'd love to teach you how to use it. I'd love to onboard you and your team and empower you to integrate it with whatever you happen to be using. If you're using Unsightly or something else, it doesn't matter. We can integrate Nimble with whatever you have. You don't have to shift whatever you're doing. We just begin to add value to whatever you do on a daily basis. So my email is jon@nimble. Email me and let me know if you're interested in getting that done. Copy Michaela, Michael with an A, and at Nimble to make sure that I get this done, because if you saw my email inbox, you'd cry. Sometimes I feel like email is like a hole in the sand. I keep digging and it keeps filling in, and I do my best. For me, it's like a battlefield. It's like triage. I go into the battlefield. I do the best I can to triage as many emails as I can, and I don't get them all. And
Speak on.
So believe it or not, I'm actually pretty good about keeping my inbox clean. Usually at least once a week, I'm down to inbox 0. And
Nice.
My process for it very simply is that each morning in Gmail, G Suite, I select all unread messages, and then I uncheck the ones I want to keep and delete all the garbage. And that little tweak in the process makes all the difference for me and makes it actually very easy for me to manage. And there was something else I wanted to mention. John, we also have people watching live on Facebook, on my Facebook page, so I assume that offer extends to them as well.
So as far as a free copy of Nimble, I'm going to give it to all the panelists. As far as a discounted copy of Nimble, my offer to them is, if you go sign up to Nimble, it's free for 2 weeks. Use it. And if you decide that it works for you, I'm going to give you 40% off your first 3 months.
Right.
When you do convert, use the code John40, and we'll go ahead and get you set up with your discount. It's automatic. You just basically, it'll apply.
Great. So it pays to be a panelist on the Zoom In with Seth, David, and Friends, number one. Number two, a bunch of people now on the live feed have asked about the webcam I'm talking about. So I'm going to post it here in the Zoom chat, the link to how you can get this webcam on Amazon. Too bad I don't have an affiliate relationship with them. And I'm going to post it in the live Facebook feed for those of you who are watching.
Speaking of affiliate, do you have a link for?
I do have a Nimble partner page with the link, and I can, here, watch this. Watch how nimble I am using Airtable, actually.
Wow, look, this thing has a speakerphone too. Does it have noise reduction on the speakerphone?
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, that's what I was saying. It's amazing. It has like everything.
Does it follow you if I get up and move around?
Not automatically. There may be a setting for that. I haven't actually bothered playing around that deeply with it because I have the remote, so I just make it follow me when I need it to. But there may be, I don't know if there's firmware for it. I don't recall. There might be. I just, my use of it is probably limited compared to what it can do on the whole. All right, so let's go to
It does have a noise canceling microphone.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Tiffany's the best. She's the smartest person in the room always. So here is the link to my Nimble partner page. Which when you go there, you can sign up through it, and then it should track you as somebody that I've referred. I am posting that both on the live Facebook feed and in the chat, if I can find it. There it is. So it's just partners.nimble.com/nerd enterprises. Should be easy to remember.
Cool. Well, I just bought the camera. So you sold me.
Hey, I've got a bridge I'd like to talk to you about real quick. It's a really, really good bridge. It's got nice roads on it. Are you still in the buying mood?
You got to have a real crisp picture of it, Matthew. That's what sold John on the camera. So I think I designed this Nimble partner page about 100 years ago, but it's still here and it's still working. And John, they'll still track it through me that way, right? It's not like
yeah.
So once you go to the page here, just click register for Nimble. You can skip all this. I wrote this copy about 100 years ago when I first became a Nimble partner, and it'll start you off on your 14-day free trial. And like John said, reach out to him. He'll give you a coupon code for 40% off the first few months if you're watching live on Facebook. So
actually the code is John40. You don't need to reach out to me to get the code.
Don't reach out to John.
No, you can. JON@nimble.com. Reach out to me. But you can get the discount by just when you sign up for the free trial whenever you convert to your credit card, put in the code John40 and that will get you the discount. 40% off.
So actually, if you're going to email somebody, just email Matthew every hour on the hour. He loves to get email.
Tiffany does that.
She does, actually.
In fact,
actually, Matthew likes to be called. He likes, especially at home at night.
Wait, I have the perfect solution. So here's what we're gonna do. I've been thinking about doing this anyway, starting a Zap of the week. So for the first Zap of the week, you're gonna create a simple little spreadsheet in Google Sheets with a trigger date, so that as soon as you enter today's date as the trigger date, it's going to invoke a Zap, which is going to email Matthew, and then you're going to put a delay in the Zap for an hour and then email again, and then as many times as you want to repeat that. And if you need to learn how to build that Zap, I'll show you. Just get with me. I'll log in with you remotely, and we'll build the Zap that will email Matthew every hour on the hour.
Seth, I'm sensing a nerd off pretty soon here, my friend. Better be careful.
You know what? What is that? Princess Bride? Never argue with the Sicilian. And Seth is the Sicilian of automation. So I wouldn't even attempt that.
I don't know. Matthew is formidable. So he might be a good, for lack of a better word, adversary on this. It'll be fun.
We prefer to team up and take over the world.
So, by the way, John, in the live Facebook feed, people were asking if it's by any chance you're doing any sessions at QuickBooks Connects this year. So I want to just sort of explain something that you and I had done it together in the past, and we've talked about it, but I'm not going this year because of a lot of things going on personally at home. So I won't be at QuickBooks Connect this year, but John, you know very well that anytime I'm speaking there or anywhere, you're always invited to join me on stage and co-present, because I love working with you. I love talking about this stuff with you. And I love what you do in terms of educating and inspiring people.
I would love to speak at QuickBooks Connect again. If anybody into it's listening, I'm happy to come out and inspire and educate people about how they could become better, smarter, faster. I think that QuickBooks consultants are the trusted advisors of small businesses, and that in order for them to start digitally transforming their customers, they need to digitally transform themselves. And towards that, Seth, if your audience is a QuickBooks Connect consultant, I will gift them Nimble free as well. All they got to do is email me and copy Michaela, and I will facilitate them. I kind of wasn't aware that this is all QuickBooks Connect consultants, but if you are, I would love to empower you, because I know that you are the trusted advisor of thousands of businesses. So I don't want to sell to you. I want to serve you and help you grow, and then let you sell that to your customers as a value add. Because I'll tell you what, back in the GoldMine days, my best resellers were accountants, because they already had the relationship with the business, and the accountants that started to sell front and back office solutions basically empowered the customers to grow more effectively, but they also began to make a lot more money on those products and services. So I would love to facilitate you. So my email is jon@nimble. Send me an email if you're a QuickBooks Connect consultant, and copy Michaela, Michael with an A, @Nimble, and just document the fact that you are, and we'd love to work with you to help you grow, and therefore help your customers grow.
If someone was to say be a panelist and a QuickBooks Connect consultant,
no, you don't get double dipping, baby. No double dipping. So I've got
There's no stacking, Matthew.
Yes, Matthew, you're so bad. You're so bad. You guys, I have a 9:00 podcast I've got to jump to. Seth, it's been a real pleasure. Linda, Carolyn, Matthew, you bad boy. Tiffany, Shannon, Peter, Seth, thank you.
Thank
Greg,
you, John.
Thank you,
Dennis,
John. I appreciate
Alexa,
you.
Thank you.
and all the people listening. Please do connect with me on whatever channel is appropriate for you, and let me know what I might be able to do to blow a little wind in your sails today or tomorrow. Adios, amigas and amigos.
Thank you.
See you all next week with another great Zoom In with Seth, David, and friends. Don't forget to join Gina today at 2:30. Just go to SBAA, Small Business Accounting Advisors, on Facebook. If you're not already in the group, request to join it. She'll let you in, and you can join in on the fun later on today. And we have another great Bulletproof Bookkeeping webinar coming up next week, and another great Zoom coming up next week as well. So just go to the events page on my website, and you'll find it all there, nerdenterprises.com/events, and we'll see you there.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
hi, Tiffany.
Hey, Matthew.